Hi home cooks! Today I'm in the kitchen making a rustic cheese and tomato galette.
This recipe is the perfect combination of buttery, flaky crust, soft cheese, and fragrant herbs, all under a layer of sweet-baked, garden-ripe tomatoes. Simple, elegant, and perfect for using up any extra tomatoes coming out of your garden.
Bring the flavors of sweet, fresh tomatoes to your table with this easy recipe. An elegant appetizer for entertaining or an easy meat-free meal. The golden flaky pastry is the ultimate way to showcase this seasonal produce.
So let's get into the kitchen. This is how I make a cheese and tomato galette.
To start this recipe, I'm going to make the dough for the crust. To make this easy crust by hand, in a large bowl, mix together 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 teaspoon of salt. Cut 3/4 of a cup of cold butter into very small cubes. Add them into the dry mixture. Now, either using your fingertips or a pastry blender, rub the butter into the dry ingredients until it just about disappears into the mix. And now to bring the dough together, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of vinegar and 4 to 5 tablespoons of cold water. The vinegar is going to give you a more tender crust. Mix this with your hands until you can squeeze the dough together into a clump. Even though this is pretty quick to make by hand, you can make this in just a few minutes using a food processor. Or even easier still, you could also use a pre-made store-bought pie dough. Now I'm going to tip the dough out onto a lightly floured counter and squeeze the dough together into a disc. Then, using a rolling pin, roll the dough out into a large circle, about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thick. Remember to move and turn the dough around often to make sure nothing sticks to the counter or the rolling pin. Now I'm going to place the galette crust onto a parchment-lined tray and place it in the fridge to chill while I prepare the filling. To make this easy, soft herb cheese filling, in a medium bowl, I'm going to add a 474-gram container of ricotta cheese. Break it up a little bit with a fork and then mix in a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 3 teaspoons of fresh oregano, 3 teaspoons of fresh thyme, and 3 teaspoons of fresh diced rosemary. You could also replace this with 1 teaspoon of the dried version of these herbs. And the ricotta cheese could be replaced with other soft cheeses like goat cheese, cream cheese, or boursin. And since this type of cheese is already pre-flavored, you can leave out adding the herbs and garlic. I'm also going to add in 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Mix this together until it's smooth and spreadable. Now I'm going to prepare 2 pounds of fresh tomatoes. Thickly slice larger tomatoes and cut cherry tomatoes in half. If you have any very small cherry tomatoes, you could even leave some of those whole. And now we're ready to assemble the galette. I'm going to spread the cheese onto the crust, leaving about 1 inch of space around the edges. You can spread it out evenly with a spatula or even press it down with your fingertips. I'm going to layer the tomatoes evenly on top of the cheese. And finally, drizzle on top 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And now gently fold the edges of the crust to seal in the outside edges of the galette. And just before going into the oven, I'm going to break 1 egg into a small bowl. Beat the egg and then brush the egg wash onto the crust of the galette. This step is optional, but it is going to give you a lovely, glossy, golden crust in the end. And now I can place the assembled galette onto a baking sheet or even a preheated pizza stone and bake in my 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius oven for 30 to 35 minutes or until it's deeply golden and the underside of the crust is cooked and lightly browned. Remove it from the oven and season the top of the galette with a little salt and pepper to taste. The galette will be very delicate and pliable at this point. The best way to serve this is to allow the galette to cool until it's warm or room temperature. It will set and solidify as it cools. And then you're ready to slice and serve. This cheese and tomato galette is bursting with fresh flavors. The rustic crust is so easy to make while still looking gourmet. Perfect for using with heirloom tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, or a mix of whatever you have on hand. The soft cheese and sprinkle of fragrant herbs are baked into a tender, flaky crust. This seasonal recipe is something you'll crave year-round.
And as always, you can find a link to the full written recipe in the description box below.
Enjoy! If you're a fan of deliciously simple vintage recipes and old-fashioned skills, then you'll want to check out this next video. Thanks for stopping by.